Hello and welcome to the Daily Millwall for Saturday, the 8th of January 2022. Now, today was match day, big match day, and it was not the result that we were hoping for, but the result many kind of expected, and it was better than we thought it would be. It was played out in very awful conditions, constant rain all morning, basically. And the final result was Millwall 1, Crystal Palace 2. And that was in the 90 minutes. So this is the match report from news@den.co.uk. What did they say? So Millwall were knocked out the FA Cup in the third round as Crystal Palace came from behind in a feisty South London affair in front of a sold-out Den on Saturday afternoon. The Lions have beaten Premier League opposition such as Bournemouth, Watford, Leicester and Everton in football's oldest competition in recent years, but were unable to add Palace to that list despite Benicophobi's first half opener. Patrick Vieira's side came out after the break a completely different side and won the game thanks to goals from Michael Olise and Jean-Philippe Mateta. Roared on in a ferocious atmosphere, Millwall made predictably a fast start and went close twice in the early exchanges. First, Scott Malone struck the crossbar from a corner inside the opening 90 seconds before Afobe fired over while leaning back from Tom Bradshaw's cutback. But Afobe would not pass up the next chance that came his way. On 18 minutes, Palace goalkeeper Jack Butland got himself into a complete mess when under pressure from Afobe and Bradshaw, allowing the on-loan Stoke striker to tap home into an empty net after failing to clear his lines. The visitors looked to respond and almost did, but George Long, making his first appearance since September, was perfectly placed to palm Jeffrey Schlupp's long-range effort away from danger before Conor Gallagher's rasping effort whistled past the far post 10 minutes before the interval. Palace had hardly laid a glove on the lines inside the opening period, but made a lightning start after the break and were level within 60 seconds. Gallagher found Olise on the right and he cut inside before sending an unstoppable curling effort into the far corner. Olise almost repeated that feat moments later, but fortunately for Millwall, this time his effort came back off the inside of the post before Mikel Keftenbeld, who had just replaced the injured George Saville, cleared the danger. The Palace onslaught continued though, and they went ahead just before the half-hour mark. Olise was once again the provider, twisting Jake Cooper inside out before crossing for Mateta, who was all alone to head past Long. Mill didn't give up hope of forcing extra time, although Mason Bennett, one of the 5 substitutes, which included a debut for 19-year-old Nana Boateng, was unable to beat Butland with one of the few second-half chances the Lions had. Mill pressed late on. Butland should have been beaten 3 minutes from time when Billy Mitchell sent over a teasing cross from the right, but neither of Cooper nor Boateng were able to apply the finishing touch. Another substitute, Matt Smith, had the final chance of a pulsating final quarter to force extra time, but he headed straight at Butland from Bennett's cross. Talking points: Bradshaw-Afobe partnership continues to thrive. It's been a long time since Millwall had 2 strikers both playing at the top of their game, but they've got exactly that with Bradshaw and Afobe right now. Bradshaw came to the game having scored 5 goals in 5 consecutive games. While he couldn't match Lee Gregory's run from 6 years ago, his pressing alongside Afobe allowed the latter to score his 6th of the season to break the deadlock following Butland's early howler. The pair have now got 13 goals between them in the League and Cup this season and are stepping up to the plate in the absence of Jed Wallace. No famous FA Cup afternoon this time. Whenever Millwall are paired with a Premier League side in this competition, it presents an opportunity to make history, and when Afobe fired the Lions into the lead, it had the makings of another memorable afternoon in South Bermondsey. In the opening period, Vieira's Palace looked totally shell-shocked and could only watch on as Millwall did what they do best in the FA Cup, but on this occasion there wasn't the heroic defensive display like against Leicester or the added time drama of Murray Wallace's win against Everton 3 years ago. Regardless, it was still a superb effort from Rowett's men, with Premier League class eventually prevailing. COVID-19 and injuries have a silver lining. There was a second Millwall debut in 2 weeks for a teenager when Boateng came on. Zach Lovelace remained on the bench this time, but the Lions' recent problems have given the youngsters a chance. They should benefit from being in these types of atmospheres. They might not get many chances this season if Gary Rowett can strengthen his squad to his liking. But against a local rival for young talent, the presence of Boateng and Lovelace proves Millwall are competing well on that front. And the team was Long, McNamara, Hutchinson, Pearce, Cooper, Malone, Mitchell, Saville, Ojo, Bradshaw and Afobe, and the substitutes were Mason Bennett for Pearce, Keftenbeld for Saville, Boateng for Ojo, Smith for Bradshaw, and Bury for Phobie. And unused substitutes were Biakowski, Evans, Topolodge, and Lovelace. So yeah, we were the better team in the first half, which was good to see. We didn't attack too much, we didn't defend too much, and it was reasonably well balanced. And then in the second half, straight away they scored straight from the off. So again, whatever's happened at half time has influenced the game and the way the players have come out. If Garrett said, "Oh, you did really well done, go out there and just carry on," whereas probably Patrick Vieira is not very happy and he's laying into the players, getting them G'd up and letting them have it, telling them to get out there and do better. So when they go out, they do. Whereas quite often we go out in the second half and we do quite often concede the first shot on our goal in the second half. It's something that happens quite often, and it happened here today. And for the second goal as well, I'll make a mention now. Kieftenbeld came on because George Saville was injured. George Saville had a pretty decent game today. But Kieftenbeld came on for that second goal. He was just ball watching. I think some other players were because the geezer Mateta wasn't in the penalty area on his own. No one was marking him, and he had a free header. And Kieftenbeld should really have gone over there and helped out Malone, especially as that was the third time that Elise had troubled us down that side in that period of time up to then. And one of them was a goal. And he's just standing there ball watching. Just turn around and look behind you. There's no other Crystal Palace player behind you. It's basically Elise in front of you and Mateta in the penalty area. So just go forward and go towards him. But he didn't do that. In terms of going forward, so the change was made. Alex Pearce taken off and we went more attacking, and that did seem to fire us up. And then we played a lot better in the last probably 10 minutes of the second half. Very impressed by Bury getting the crosses in. Daniel McNamara was outstanding all game. Nana Boateng, I mean, he came on for his debut. He was just a hair's whisker away from sliding in on a cross in the 6-yard box and putting it in the goal. And if he'd have done that, he would have been absolute scenes. He would have been a hero. But he didn't, and them's the margins. That's the margins in a professional game. Literally 2 inches of the studs on your boots make you a hero or a zero getting in on that goal. I thought he did really well when he come on. Yeah, it was a pretty subdued game in terms of because of the weather and stuff. But the atmosphere was decent for a Millwall atmosphere. Wasn't the best as ever you've seen down there, but it's probably to be expected. And you saw in the second half when they come out at half time, they were able to switch it up another gear. And it's basically a one-man show that Elise did it. He did it for them. He whatever he did at half time, whatever they said to him at half time, that made the difference because he went out there and got the game won for him. I think most of the other players for Crystal Palace won all that. They weren't really doing anything. So there you go. Unfortunately, a loss 2-1, and we go back to the league now. Big game in the league next Saturday. We are playing Nottingham Forest, and you can see on the right hand side there. they are above us in the league by 1 point. So winning this game will be a good test for us. It is another home game, so that would be good. Now, it would be nice if we had a similar atmosphere that we had today, but that's highly unlikely. There are people who only come out for these big games, and that's all they're interested in. But what can you do? That's the way it is, and you kind of understand that. I mean, you can't afford to go to every game, and people have to pick and choose their games, and this is one that you would definitely pick and choose. But tomorrow's next week's game is a big game. It really is. Not only that, we're playing a team that's above 1 point above us in the league, and we're competing with them and a whole host of other clubs to get in the playoff places. But they're a team that's trying to steal our superstar player, Jed Wallace, with a £1.2 million bid. So they're able to get decent crowds at their games, and it would be nice if we got a decent crowd at our game against them. So moving on to post-match comments from Gary Rowett. Gary Rowett disappointed with defending for Crystal Palace goals as Millwall bow out of FA Cup. So this is from the londonnewsonline.co.uk. Gary Rowett was unhappy with Mill's defending in the early stages of the second half, feeling both of Crystal Palace's goals were avoidable. The Eagles trailed at the interval after Benicofei pounced, punishing Eagles keeper Jack Butland after he was caught in possession. But Michael Elise curled a left-footed leveller soon after the restart, and a summer signing from Reading then produced the assist for Jean-Philippe Mateta to head past George Long from close range. Rowett said, "We acquitted ourselves pretty well for the vast majority of the game. We started the first half really well. You know, with the atmosphere at the Den, it was all about trying to make it aggressive and quick start. We did that quite well. We scored a goal, we worked a little bit, we could get the ball higher up the pitch and put pressure on. Jack Butland takes a little bit of time on the ball, we managed to pinch it off him. We looked fine first half, really pleased. What you can't do against a Premier League side or any side is start like that. We can't allow Elise time on the ball. I think there is an offside in the build-up as the ball goes to the striker. Mateta is just offside, but you can't allow Elise to come inside the pitch. He's left-footed. You've got to force him outside. It's a poor goal to concede. After that, we conceded another poor goal when Elise comes inside, chips the ball in. We've got 2 players in there against 2, and we allow a free header. I was pleased with the response after. It was just whether we could get that second goal. Palace went strong and brought on Edouard and Benteke. You know it's a game, you've got to maintain it for 90 minutes. You can't drop your guard and make mistakes. They've got players who can punish them. That 10 to 15 minute spell, yes, they upped their game, they attacked with a little bit more intensity, but I'd expect us to be able to maintain that in the 46th, 47th minute. If it happens in the 80th minute and we're a little bit fatigued, then I can half accept it. To make those mistakes so early in the second half is a little bit disappointing. It took the shine off a pretty good performance overall. Yeah, I mean, you go in half time 1-0 up and you're buzzing, because like in yesterday's video, I expected us to be losing, to lose that game. We did lose in the end, but to be 1-0 up half time and to be playing better than them, you start to think, well, maybe I got it wrong. Maybe now that they are a better team in terms of their Premier League quality players. But maybe the atmosphere was getting to them, the weather, maybe it was a bit too cold for them. Maybe they didn't like it. So maybe that gave us an advantage that we could capitalise on and get the win here. And it just wasn't to be, because they come out of the second half, stepped up a couple of gears, and then got their second goal, and then they kind of closed ranks and tried to play on the counter. And they were able to be defensive and dispel all our attacks. So there you go. Now moving on now to this. So Millwall boss expects Forest transfer target Jed Wallace to be fit and available to face them next weekend. So this is from londonnewsonline.co.uk. So Gary Rowett is expecting Jed Wallace to be available for Millwall's home game against Forest next weekend. The winger did not make the Lions bench for their 2-1 FA Cup defeat against Crystal Palace at the Den. The South London club have rejected 2 bids from Forest for the attacker, who is out of contract at the end of the season. Jed had only trained for a couple of days. I don't think he'd done enough training or looked quite fit enough to affect this game, said Rao when asked about Wallace's absence. Hey, not only that, they did the training at the Den. They took some pictures and put them on the Millwall site. He was not in those pictures. Was he there training and they said to the photographer, don't upload any pictures of these players? Because we didn't see any from Alex Pearce either, or some other player, I can't remember. But so we will give him a little more time to make sure he's available. For Forest as we stand at the moment, there is no reason he won't be available for that game. George Saville went off early in the second half of the third round tie. I think he got a little whack in the back at the end of the first half, said Rat. We should have made a better call at half time. We had to make the substitution after 2 to 3 minutes, and you could see he probably wasn't moving quite right when he has to try and come across and help Scotty. We'll assess him over the next 48 hours and see what the issue is. Murray missed the fixture as his partner went into labour. So good luck to Mrs. Murray Wallace. Hope she's doing fine and the baby's doing fine. So there you go. And there are other Millwall stories happening today. The gutter press have taken it upon themselves to do what they can't do most weeks, and that's report on trouble at football ground. Now, because they follow Premier League games and Premier League teams, they are not allowed to comment on the bad things that happen at Premier League games and grounds, and we all know about them, but it gets brushed under the carpet because the Premier League is a brand and you can't spoil the brand, so you need to keep your mouth shut. But when they come and when their eyes are on Millwall games, then they can go to town and just comment on complete nonsense that they just are not allowed to comment when they see it at a Premier League team's ground. And we've got homophobic chants, booing the knee, throwing a bottle at Elise, which is stupid because it hits him. So if you throw out a bottle at someone, it doesn't hit them, it's no big deal. But to hit a player with an object, that's really fucking stupid. Why are you doing that? But not only that, so they're talking about that stuff that happened from the Millwall fans. What they're not mentioning is the flare from the Crystal Palace fans, the fireworks in Crystal Palace, and like the banger. They let off a banger. Apparently, a lot of them fans shit their pants when that went off. And I would imagine you would in these days. You don't know if it's a fucking Abdul from fucking Croydon blowing himself up and taking 70 virgin Crystal Palace fans with him, so he can have his way with them in heaven, or wherever they go when they do that stuff. So yeah, they're not mentioning that, but they're mentioning naughty old Millwall booing the knee. Now I don't know what are Crystal Palace doing a knee all the time now, or did they just bring it back for our game? Because I thought everyone stopped doing that shit. But they're talking about homophobic chants. Not really. Well, I don't know. I think they're talking about the Rent Boy one. Like the Mill fan, a lot of Mill fans. It was a very loud chant. We're calling Conor Gallagher, "You're just a Chelsea Rent Boy." There was the usual, "Oh, you take it up the arse, you take it now." They usually sing that to a female fan. In the away end, so that's not homophobic, that's lascivious, and so I don't know what you're talking about there, but these stories are all over everywhere. I really couldn't give a shit about them. It's not a mountain out of a molehill, it's a mountain out of a pimple. It's complete fucking fabrication and nonsense and clickbait designed to get people to click on and see what the naughty Millwall fans have done now. And like I said, these things happen in the Premier League day in, day out, but they get told to keep their mouth shut. And there you go. So on that note, thank you for watching and goodbye.